The company still, however, faces a fine of nearly $4 billion after it failed to cut off subscribers who had not gone through a registration process as mandated by Nigerian authorities. MTN has hired a former U.S. Attorney General, reportedly in the hopes that he may be able to negotiate a reduced fine with the Nigerian Communications Commission before the matter goes back to court. Well, in another area, MTN is also being forced to face the music, in a sense. The Composers, Authors and Publishers Association, CAPASO, says that MTN has failed to pay music copyright royalties to songwriters since 2013. MTN says the claims are devoid of all truth. Well, to discuss, we're joined by the CEO of CAPASO, Nothando Migogo. Thank you for joining us, Nothando. Just first explain this to me, because it's more complicated than I thought. So you have these different bodies collecting money, some for the singers. You actually collect money for the songwriters.
Yeah, that's correct. In any song that you hear, there are two copyrights. There's the original copyright in the composition, which is obviously owned by the songwriters and the composer, who are sometimes represented by publishers. And then there's a second copyright in the actual sound recording. So CAPASO works with the compositional copyright, and that's what we collect. We are mandated by our members to license music users, be they in the broadcasting space, digital music providers, etc., collect those license fees and distribute them to the members as royalties.
All right, and we don't think of MTN as a music company, but this is for downloads, for things like when you hear music when you phone somebody while it's ringing, things like that.
Yeah, there's been an entire shift in the way music is consumed. So CDs, the traditional CD sales or CD format, the sales in that format are decreasing. Everyone's moving to digital formats. So downloads, caller ringback tones, etc. And MTN and organizations like MTN, telcos, really, that's a service offering that's on the increase. So a lot of people are buying their music from their mobile companies, as opposed to buying CDs. So it is definitely, they're not traditional music companies, but they definitely are a big retail store, so to speak, of music.
All right, so what's happening? Because you're saying MTN is not paying. We did offer them the right to reply. They've released a statement saying that you, CAPASO, sent an invoice that contained duplicated claims. So what's your response to that, and what is actually happening?
Right. So for the first time in the media is when we heard that there were duplicate claims.
Have they never come to you and said that before?
They've never come to us. They had never come to us and said that until they responded to our own press release. MTN, following our press release, then invited us over for a meeting this afternoon, in fact, and we had been trying to meet with them literally since April 2015. And they then invited us over to a meeting, and in this meeting was the first time where they actually explained why they're saying that there are duplicate claims. And this is for the 2014 year. That said,
where they owe 1 million rand, I think you said.
Right. Yeah. And that said, the duplicate claims that they have expressed to us really only cover, it's about 72,000 rand. So it's less than 8% of the actual invoice. And our feeling was that should have been disclosed to us, that there are duplicate claims, but we've never received a list of such duplicate claims.
Okay, so does this put the matter to rest? Is it all going to be okay now?
Not yet, not yet. We met with MTN this afternoon. We then sent them an official response following that meeting, to which we hope to get a response on Monday, and thereafter we'll be able to say whether or not the matter is put to rest, because you'll know that there's still the issue of the 2015 usage that has not been reported or declared. So in other words, the sales that were made by MTN during the 2015 year have not been declared to the songwriters through ourselves. And there's the issue of the fact that, according to the Copyright Act, any music user has to get permission and get a license before they can actually sell or exploit that music. And MTN has not had a license with ourselves or our predecessor company, for that matter, since 2010.
Sure, that is a big claim. What's the big picture here? Because we're running out of time. Because of all these different channels, and I know there are not only complaints against MTN, broadcasters, a lot of complaints that musicians, songwriters aren't getting paid. Is it becoming more and more difficult to track where music is being played, how it's being played?
Right. No, it's very difficult. I mean, the digital space, as you'd know, is really less streamlined as your traditional, hard copy or physical forms of music. So it is very difficult to track. So it's really, the songwriters rely on the music users to report accurately and to take responsibility for full liability for their music platform and for their music use. But you find that a number of users then sort of deflect that responsibility in various ways and say, talk to this person, talk to that person. What we are asking for as Capasso on behalf of the songwriters is that organizations that are selling music should take that responsibility and be responsible for paying the copyright liabilities instead of sending organizations like Capasso or the songwriters themselves from pillar to post and saying that, no, you need to talk to our content providers or you need to talk to this person. They need to take responsibility. They're the one, it's their brand. They're selling the music. They need to pay the royalties.
All right, well, we'll follow what becomes of this. Thank you very much. That was Nothando Migogo, the CEO of Capasso, which is the Composers, Authors and Publishers Association.